New York. Big, noisy, endlessly lively, with large stores and restaurants where you can find everything, from fine dining to modest cafes. The La Dolce Vita restaurant on Broadway was popular among locals and tourists. Visitors enjoyed its atmosphere, but inside the establishment, there was tension that the guests didn't know about. Among all the people smiling and enjoying their evenings, there was him, Vin Diesel. This time, he wasn't on the red carpet or on set. Just an ordinary man who wanted to relax after a long day of filming. He walked into La Dolce Vita, sat at a table, and after placing his order, began looking through the menu. But something caught his attention. From behind the bar, which he hadn't immediately noticed, came desperate voices. It was the voice of Barik, the owner of the restaurant, shouting at an employee, Brock, who was standing behind the bar and trying to fix the situation. "You messed up again, Brock. How could you forget the order like that? People are waiting. Can't you do your job right?" "I'm sorry, I tried, but..." A few orders got mixed up. Vin Diesel looked away from his menu and glanced at what was happening. He wasn't one to interfere in other people's business, but this time, he couldn't stay indifferent to the situation. Brock was trying to fix the mistake, but he was ready to do anything to justify himself in front of his boss. Despite his desire not to get involved, Vin Diesel couldn't ignore it. As a person with great influence, he had a special sense of justice. He decisively got up from his seat, placed a few bills on the table, and slowly walked up to the bar. "Barik, I don't think this is the best way to solve the problem. People make mistakes. You're not perfect yourself, are you?" Vin Diesel spoke to him calmly, but his words sounded like hammer blows on metal. Barik, raising his voice even further, turned to him. "Who do you think you are, teaching me? You're not on a movie set here, this is real life. I'm here to support the one who works for you. If you want to be a leader, then act like one, not like a tyrant." The restaurant fell silent. The guests who were watching the situation stopped talking, and all eyes were fixed on this unexpected scene. Vin Diesel, though not a local, was well known for his reputation. And now, his words carried weight. Barik didn't expect such a reaction. He was genuinely surprised, but his pride and stubbornness wouldn't allow him to back down. Anger appeared in his eyes as he approached Vin Diesel, pressing his fingers to the table. "You think you can teach me how to run my business? I'm not afraid of you, and you have no right to interfere in my affairs." Vin Diesel looked Barik straight in the eye. "Maybe I don't have the right, but that doesn't mean I can't point out what's wrong. It's better to lead people than break their spirit. You didn't build this restaurant to crush people." With each word, Vin Diesel became more resolute. He knew that respect for employees was the key to success, and he was ready to stand his ground. "You won't convince me. I'm a real businessman, and you're just an actor who doesn't understand the real world." Vin Diesel took a step back, smiling slightly for the first time. He wasn't going to engage in pointless arguments. His view on the situation was simple. No one has the right to treat others as inferior. "You're right, I'm not a businessman. But one thing I know, to be a true leader, you have to do more than just give orders. You need to inspire. And you can't even control the situation here." Brock, who had been standing with his head lower the whole time, began to change. He saw how one person could change everything, simply through determination and courage. "You can do more, and you deserve respect." These words meant a lot to Brock. He hadn't felt this supported in a long time, and in that moment he felt valued. The rest of the restaurant fell silent. Barik and Vin Diesel stared at each other, but this time, the atmosphere was completely different. Instead of anger, Barik's face showed disappointment. He couldn't withstand the pressure of the situation. Sighing, Barik lowered his shoulders. "You're right. This isn't how it should be." Vin Diesel simply nodded. "You can continue with your life as before, or you can take the right step. It's up to you." And that was the moment. Barik, understanding the essence of what had happened, left through the restaurant doors. He didn't return. Brock, feeling as if he were in another world, saw the situation as an opportunity for himself. He was given a chance. He shed his fears and doubts. A few days after the incident, Brock was promoted to restaurant manager. He changed his approach to his employees, creating a new atmosphere of support and mutual respect. Vin Diesel, although he left the restaurant, left his influence behind. His words had changed one person's life, and that became the beginning of a new path for Brock. From that moment on, La Dolce Vita became a place where not only was the food delicious, but where every employee felt important. And Vin Diesel, as an ordinary visitor, quietly smiled, knowing that his intervention had helped change someone's destiny. A few weeks after the incident, the restaurant La Dolce Vita became a true symbol of change in New York. Rumors about the events of that evening spread quickly. Everyone who had heard about how Vin Diesel helped Brock began talking about how true leadership isn't about shouting, but about supporting. Brock, now the new manager of a restaurant, tried to implement changes on all levels. He established open communication, where every employee could express their thoughts and suggestions, and replaced the old, rigid management methods with an approach based on mutual respect and understanding. However, even with these innovations, new challenges began to appear on the horizon. One of the biggest problems was that some of the older employees could not adapt to the new conditions. They continued to live by the old rules and believed that Brock, although the new boss, still couldn't change old habits. One day, as the restaurant was preparing for an important event, Brock received a message that one of the oldest employees, John, had caused another conflict. He categorically refused to work under the new conditions and seemed to be trying to incite other employees against the changes. John was one of the reasons why the restaurant had once had a harsh atmosphere. He was one of those who supported the old system. Brock realized that he needed to act quickly and decided to talk to John one-on-one. He knew how hard it was to change the mentality of someone who was used to harshness and indifference. John, I understand that it's hard for you to accept the new conditions, but we are moving forward. Do you want your work to be valued? Then help us change this restaurant for the better. If you continue to refuse, we won't be able to move forward together. John, hearing these words, shrugged but struggled to accept that he would have to change. However, Brock was determined. It wasn't easy, but he was ready to stand by his principles. He even reached out to Vin Diesel to discuss the situation, as the actor had once again become his moral authority. After learning about Brock's difficulties with John, Vin Diesel decided to support him once more. He knew that such situations could be challenging, but he also believed that the best changes come through such challenges. He asked Brock to organize a small meeting with all the restaurant employees to openly discuss the future of the establishment. Each of you is a part of this team. We are all here to support each other and work on something bigger than just a restaurant. There is no place for conflicts or mockery. It is important that everyone feels valued. And this applies not only to you, but also to me. I am ready to help, but only if you want it. The meeting was difficult, but the result was an agreement on mutual respect. John decided to try changing his attitude toward work, and the other employees felt that they were a true team. This was another important confirmation that even difficult times can be overcome if there is support and belief in a shared goal. A few months later, the restaurant La Dolce Vita became even more popular. The atmosphere within the team greatly improved, and the team started working as a unified whole. Brock proved that change is possible even when it seems like all is lost. Vin Diesel, although no longer a regular guest at the restaurant, understood that his intervention had set in motion changes that made the restaurant not just a place to eat, but a place where everyone had the chance to be heard. Brock stands behind the bar, smiling as he watches guests enjoying their dinner, and in his eyes, pride is visible. Now he's not just the boss, but a leader who inspires others to change. The restaurant La Dolce Vita became a symbol of a new approach to business, where respect and mutual support were the core principles. And perhaps somewhere on the horizon, Vin Diesel is reflecting that sometimes even one right action can change the whole world. The restaurant La Dolce Vita became a true symbol of change for the city, and rumors about how Vin Diesel intervened in the situation and helped Brock continued to be discussed. Since then, not only the restaurant staff, but also many others who had heard the story began to change their attitude toward work colleagues and themselves. Brock became an example for many. His leadership approach, based on support, respect, and understanding, helped not only improve the atmosphere in the restaurant, but also increase the efficiency of the entire team. Every employee felt important, and the restaurant became a place people wanted to work. John, the senior employee who had once protested against the changes, became one of the main supporters of the new approach. Although it was difficult for him at first, over time he understood that positive changes were not about losing power, but about creating a stable and happy team. A few months after Vin Diesel left the restaurant, Brock invited him to the restaurant's anniversary celebration. The actor came to see the result of his support and was pleased to see the restaurant thriving. "I see you're a true leader, not just a manager. You changed this place, but most importantly, you changed the people. This is more than just business. This is more than just a restaurant. It's a place where everyone can feel part of something important. And without your support, I wouldn't have been able to do this." That evening, in an atmosphere of joy and gratitude, La Dolce Vita celebrated not only business success, but also victory over old stereotypes about harsh management. Brock had created a team that worked not just to receive a paycheck, but to grow together and inspire each other to achieve new heights. As a visitor, Vin Diesel left the restaurant and, turning to Brock, said, "You found your place here. Now this restaurant is not just about food. It's a story about how life can be changed." Brock smiled. He knew he had made the right choice, and that life can change when there is the courage and determination to move forward, even when it seems like everything is going wrong. And even in the most ordinary places, incredible changes can happen. The restaurant became a true source of inspiration for everyone who entered. And although Vin Diesel had already left through its doors, his influence remained, not at the level of fame, but in the hearts of those who aspired to be better.